serving up a warm dish of the Triads culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 137 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of January the 6th through the 12th, 2020. My name is Tim Beeman.
My name is Ray Morgan.
And we are opening the recipe box. We're going to get that fixed. That box is way too loud. We're recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studios in the lab at Industry Hill. And we have a special guest with us today who usually we just have in the guest section, but he's now a familiar voice and face in this podcast, so he's going to join us for the discussions, and then we're going to welcome here Mr. Daniel Butner from Carrabba's.
Hey, how are y'all today?
Woo-hoo! Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Ray.
Thank you, and to both of you.
So during the break, right after the break happened, Street Team Steven and I went to the Spruce Street Garden and Craft Tavern. And I posted about it on Instagram, but I want to talk about it here real quick. I say real quick, it's a little bit long. If you were ever there when it was Wenhua or Zia, the main dining room really hasn't changed that much. A little paint here and there. They took the water fountain from the middle of the room. But, you know, whatever. The bar area is hopefully going to get spruced up. See what I did there? Spruce Street. Because it's an open gray area. Bar is nice, though. And you know what I found in there? That damn pool table I thought wasn't there. It is there, but it's stuffed in the back of the room, so that's not so bad. On to the food, really. Lamb seems to be a big menu item on this menu, and we started with the lamb flatbread, and it was really tasty. Everything we had read about this, people were raving, so we were like, okay, you gotta try it. And the hype was not wrong. Garlic and herb, olive oil, braised lamb, mushrooms, caramelized onions, scallions, shaved Parmesan, and black truffle oil on the top of it. If we had any complaint, both Stephen and I agreed that the flatbread was not really crispy or as stiff as we thought it would be. I don't know if this was undercooked or the oils just soaked through it and made it that way. But it wasn't far from being perfect. It just could have done a little bit more crispy. But all that being said, I reiterate, the flavors were amazing. The essenced oils gave the lamb, cheese, and earthy umami components the perfect flavor complement. And I would say this is a must for anyone who's going to go there to try. They need to have that. They also have what they call street fries, and each selection is different with a different cut of potato or sweet potato. The street in this is actually, there's one called 4th Street, one named Broad Street, one named, so it's actually named after streets.
That's pretty cool.
So the 4th Street ones was the one we got, and these are waffle fries topped with zesty buffalo chicken, pepper jack cheese, and a blue cheese aioli. So the flavors were spot on, but as with the lamb flatbread, the fries could have been a little more crispy. I like my fries a little on the undercooked side normally, but when all these ingredients are on there, you need it to stay stiff and rigid. And you would pick all this stuff up and it would just fall down. So you had to use two hands for, one little waffle fry. But again, that to the side, the flavors were right there, and we both agreed that it was a great thing to try. And I know Algernon had said, I didn't even think to try the fries because I said I was confused by the street fries thing. And he said I didn't know what that was. So we told him it's just named after the streets, and it's just fries with stuff on it. There's a couple of regular fries. There was a sweet potato fry thing, which I do not like sweet potatoes or sweet potato fries. But the waffle fries here was really good, especially with the blue cheese and the buffalo sauce. And the pepper jack too. And then
Almost sounds like fries you should be eating with utensils.
Well, we did. We had to after a little bit trying to get those because they were really topped with stuff. Again, you can see these pictures on the Man Who Ate the Town Instagram page. And then we had to get the burger, right?
Well, of course.
So we got the classic burger, Angus beef patty topped with American cheese. That's because that's the best burger cheese to me. It melts the best. Bacon, lettuce, and tomato. We got both the lettuce and tomato on the side because I don't care for lettuce and he doesn't care for tomato, so I just cut it half and put it on there. And red onion. It was topped with 2 Cornichon pickles. So we got the burger done medium and ordered the mac and cheese for the side. Couple of things here. The burger was a perfect medium. The cheese could have melted a little bit more, and it would have, I think, if it was on the patty on the grill right before they put it on the bun. But they put the bacon down, then the cheese on top of that, so it didn't have time to melt down. Cornichons are great garnish, and they look cool. I like the little things, but I like a good dill pickle chip on my burger. Daniel's shaking his head no. You don't like pickles on your burgers?
I don't like pickles.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of friends who are like that. Or my wife, she doesn't. She likes pickle flavor, but she doesn't like the pickle.
I don't like pickles on my table.
Do you like raw pickles? Do you like cucumbers?
I like cucumbers.
Okay, you just don't like the pickling part.
Correct.
Okay,
Of any kind?
Anything.
bread
I
butter.
I don't eat anything pickled. Nothing.
Okay. I like pickles, the actual pickles, and I like pickled onions now. I found that I do like those. I used to not like any onions, but like pickled beets and things like that, I still can't because I don't like beets of any. I can go out and eat dirt from my yard, and it tastes better because that's kind of what beets to me taste like. Because I'm eating dirt.
I can agree.
Yeah. You like beets, Ray?
No.
Okay.
Now, my wife absolutely loves them.
Yeah, I don't get
Eats
it.
them frequently. No, thank you.
Yeah. Here, have a side of dirt with your food.
Now, pickles, I don't like cucumbers. I don't know. I picked up my grandfather's bias. He always said that cucumbers are the only food that even the hogs won't eat.
Dogs
He's
don't
like-
like them either.
Yeah. I've never liked cucumbers, but I like pickles.
But the thing with this is I like pickle chips or 3 on the burger, and you really can't slice the cornichons up with a table knife and then put them on the burger. The brioche bun that came on too looked good. It was not just the standard. It had the cross on the top and had been baked, and it split open a little bit, all that. But it's still, brioche buns to me are ridiculous for for burgers because there's too much bread to meat ratio. And I want meat with a handle. Not a big fluffy pillow with a little bit of meat in the middle.
If the burger's big enough, the brioche bun's good.
Right. Okay. But that's right because the meat ratio would be right.
Right.
But I would just as soon have the Martin's potato roll.
Yeah, those are solid.
Those are
Yeah.
great burger buns.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
All that being said, again, the flavors and enjoyment of this burger were really good. We enjoyed it and both agreed that this was a burger option for the downtown crowd and visitors alike. So, is it the best burger in town? No. I don't think that's what they're going for. It's just a good burger, and I definitely have it again. The mac and cheese for it was a good side. I really don't care for breadcrumbs on my mac and cheese, but once you dig in and get beneath that and mix it all together, the texture of the dish was great. It was creamy and cheesy, although I could have used a bit more of cheese definition in the mac and cheese. But it didn't take away from the overall experience. Steven adds a bunch of black pepper to his, and I add Texas Pete to mine because I think that's the perfect topping for mac and cheese. Overall, the experience at Spruce Street Garden was very good. They've only been open a week or so, and at this time, and the kinks are being worked out. They did get a pass for the. Do they get a pass for the bad things? Well, I ask, what bad things? The things that were my things were preferential and not necessarily bad execution. They will get better the more they get their legs under them. That's just how new restaurants go. Not like we say, not everybody can be a Yamas.
Right.
It starts out even on the soft opening days that it was near perfect.
Oh.
So,
Yes.
and that's just the way it goes. So this was a great start, and I'm sure that because I've read other reviews since, and people are really digging it, and it's a cool place downtown that there is a little bit of parking for, so that helps too, and street parking if you can't get, and it's right there in front, so it's pretty cool.
Well, you know, one thing about when you open a new restaurant, you know, you go over the menu items, you make the menu items, they come out perfectly. Okay. There's a certain amount of time that you need to execute those in high demand in order to see the issues that come up. And I mean, you know, like the flatbread being too soft, they probably had it down to a time.
Yeah.
And, you know, or the fries. So let's say the fries, they probably had it down to a time. Once your oil is below 350, it's not going to cook as fast. Once you have 6 orders in it, it's not going to cook as fast. So, you know, you got to figure out your demand and how much you have to do and put a little bit of personal, you know.
A little bumper in it.
Whenever you see it, you know, the guy at the fryer, when he pulls it out, you know, if he has the personal attention to look at it and say, okay, these need to cook 30 seconds more, have the courage to dump them in and go 30 seconds. Or maybe that's the texture fry they were going for.
It could be.
And you won't know until, you know, 2-3 months down the road.
Right, absolutely. And that's why I said this was them getting their legs under them. It was just an opportunity to go and give them a shot. And for what they did, I think it was very, very, very good. And I want to go back in about 2 months to see how they've straightened out the curves, really.
I can't wait to go because I have a day off sometime pretty soon.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
All right, cool.
So Irie Rhythms, or whatever they were calling themselves at the end when they changed their name, have closed the location at Silence Creek Crossing. And they've moved to the Marketplace Mall off of Peters Creek Parkway and are now just known as Rhythm Lounge and Grill. They're only open from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m., but I think that's 7 days a week, and it will be jazz, lounge, and as far as I know, Jamaican food with the grill. It seems like a big departure from what they were trying to, where they were trying to take the restaurant, and I don't know that Marketplace Mall is necessarily the answer, but they just opened. I hope they can make it, and we don't have anything like that here in Winston right now. So
It's a mile from downtown?
yeah, it's about a mile. Yeah.
Late night.
Well, and you're also talking about a very large building with lots of available space and plenty of parking.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no worry about parking there, even at Christmas time. I mean,
exactly.
when I moved here 33 years ago, and that was still pretty kicking down there, there was still never a shortage. Even when Farmore was there, the Marketplace was going, and the movie theater was a full-on movie theater, not the cheapo thing.
Yeah.
There was still never, and you had the Grandies and other things that were in where the sweepstakes place is. There was never an issue with parking. So,
You're right. They built a huge parking lot for that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's hoping that Rhythm Lounge and Grill does well. Like I said, there's nothing like that in town anywhere.
No.
Because there's no jazz clubs in town anymore.
Right.
And there's certainly not, but 2 Jamaican places now, this one and Yaman, or there was one up on the north side of town, but I don't know if he just went to takeout orders only or if he shut down. I don't even remember what the name of it. It was Doctor or Mr. or somebody.
Yeah.
So let's hope that it goes well.
Well, I mean, you said 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
So that's late night.
That's your late night.
That's what everybody wants.
Yeah, that's what everybody's been talking about.
And good
And
jazz.
if they're serving that menu up through, say, 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah, this may be the after party spot.
Yeah.
This
Or these party spot.
Or the
Yeah,
after
just go
work
there all
spot
night.
for, you know, or after work for those that get off like incredibly late at night.
Yeah.
True.
The service people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, right up the
We
street
need to
here.
get these people in. We need to get them in and talk to them.
Yeah, they're not open till
get
8.
more
I'm sure we can come in during the day. So I'll see if I can get hold of them and get them to come in.
If they're up.
If they're up, yeah.
If they're up, yeah. This would be their early morning for them.
Yeah, it would be. Radar Brewing has opened here in Industry Hill. It's at the corner of North Chestnut and 9th Street. Opening day was New Year's Day, and I think it was pretty dead because they didn't advertise it. They just opened. Michael Hastings says, "Hey, we got a new bar." And someone else said later they were there and nobody was there. They say it's pretty bare bones inside, and, you know, it's just they said the beer was okay, but then again, they're just open. You know, I'm sure these people were brewing beer otherwise, but probably not on scale.
Well, you'd think with a name like Radar, we would have seen it opening.
Yeah, it would have been on somebody's radar.
Good point. Good point.
But I went by there 2 days later on Friday because I was here late on Friday. I say late, to late afternoon. And I went home and there were cars lined up halfway down the street this direction and down 9th Street and a couple on the short end of Chestnut before you get to Liberty. And then the parking lot, which is still all mud and gunk that was tracking all over the street. So they're going to have to get that fixed. But they were packed out then. I hope that the city comes in and moves that tree debris out of the street because it went from a 2-lane street to about a half-lane street with people parked in it. So you got to be really careful going through there. I don't know if the Airbnb part or whatever they're doing there is ready, but it should be soon.
Huh?
At Radar, they actually are opening a 7-room Airbnb as well. So you can get your...
So you can stay in a brewery?
yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, so...
I mean, for some people, that's the ideal weekend. You know, just
Is there a fully stocked fridge for middle of the night wake up? You know?
I don't know.
So it's,
I mean, the whole Airbnb, I mean, it stands for Air Mattress Bed and Breakfast. So it would be interesting to know if they actually had something like that. Maybe they have stocked in the rooms.
right. Like beer and Cheerios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or as Gene Simmons made a big to-do over this past week on social media when he revealed that he puts ice cubes in his breakfast cereal. And people were going stupid over that. He says, I like my milk to be ice cold.
That's funny. It's weird, but okay.
But it's Gene Simmons.
Right.
I mean, my dad does that with his milk. He puts ice cubes in his milk when he drinks it because he likes it really cold.
Well, the
The
guy...
cereal? That's different. The cereal, that's
Well,
different.
Tackleberry from the Police Academy movies, he put ice in his milk. He wanted milk on rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So what's going on over at Caraba's Italian Grill, Proprietario Butner?
Man, it's we just wound up 2019. It's a great year. We did a lot of good things with a lot of good people, and we're going into 2020, and it's looking even better. I'm really enjoying things. You know, we have a wine dinners lined up all year long, so I mean, your opportunities to come to those are every month, about 2 weeks a month, because at first I had kind of big ones and I couldn't get around and talk to everybody, and I mean, I think the whole idea of a wine dinner is the camaraderie, the family relationship, the conversation. And if I have so many people, I just basically walk by, hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, you might be, but you might be like, shut up and go away. But it's the first wine dinner of the year we're kicking off is California Dreaming, and it's all California wines. And I mean, no better time than in January to be thinking about a nice warm location to be sitting around. But
All the leaves are brown.
right,
Get it? California Grill.
right.
And the sky is great.
Yeah.
And this guy's great. But we're starting out with a mushroom bruschetta Carrabba. It's probably one of my favorites. It's very simple. It's bread, mushrooms, mozzarella cheese, fresh basil, and we drizzle a little bit of olive oil on it. I mean, it's like simple, but it has Italian written all over it. And we're pairing that with a Francis Ford Coppola Voitre Santre. It's a Pinot Noir. It means to your health. So it's a great wine to start with, because
It's healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Mushrooms are good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're going to a Penne California, which I might get on my sun-dried tangent, and if I do, I'm sorry.
Please do. I enjoy this. I enjoy that when you talk about it.
So the next thing is a Penne California. It's penne pasta tossed with sun-dried tomatoes, caramelized onions, mozzarella cheese, and pancetta. Now, just a little bit of sun-dried tomato education. So sun-dried tomatoes, there's two types. There's the type that is mechanical, and there's the types that are actually sun-dried. So the ones that are mechanically done, a machine runs through the field, levels all the tomato plants down to the ground, and it goes up in the machine. It picks the tomatoes off of it and then loads it into a box. That box dumps onto a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt runs it through an oven. You know, maybe the racks go back and forth for probably about 3.5, 4 hours. Comes out the other end, dumps into a vegetable oil. So basically, no human has touched this, looked at this, anything for the entire process until it gets into the oil. Now, sun-dried tomatoes, the really good ones are actually grown in Turkey. People walk through the fields, they fill up a basket. Well, they don't fill up the basket. They put the basket with as many tomatoes as they can without crushing them.
Right.
Then they take them out and lay them on white sheets in the sun. Throughout the different days they're walking through, they're looking at the tomatoes, they're turning the ones that need to be turned, they're taking the ones off that are done. You know, this whole process, there's, you know, dried tomatoes and good tomatoes beside each other. Whenever they take the dried tomatoes they're perfectly dried, they put them in a basket and then take them over and they process them. What processing them means is they take them and put them on in a box so they can put them into a vat of sunflower oil. All right, so it's the whole process is watched. There's, you know, human interaction the entire time because everybody's, you know, and you can say what you want to say. I've never dried a tomato in the sun, but I think it's incredibly hard and a specialized technique. And these guys are doing that. And what that does is, like when they're sun-dried and you have a person touching it and looking at it, they're all going to be the same texture. They're all going to be the same doneness.
Get rid of the ones that are defective.
The bad ones will, you know, unfortunately, the tomatoes that don't look just right will go to you know, somewhere else, maybe feed animals. But that's cool.
Yeah.
But you know, whenever they go through a machine, there's no selection process. You'll have soft ones, you'll have hard ones, you'll have some perfect ones. I'm not going to say they're not all perfect. I mean, the majority of them will probably be perfect.
Right.
You know, it's a whole
People
point of doing a machine. Exactly. Now, the difference in the cost between sun-dried and mechanical tomatoes, it's about 3 times as much. We use the sun-dried tomatoes from Turkey in sunflower oil. If you go through our menu and you look at our menu, you'll see absolutely positively nothing that starts out with sun-dried tomato. It's an ingredient. It's not a feature of, you know, I mean, from time to time we'll feature it, you know, but it's never in the name of a dish. But we put that much care and concern into something that's an additive into our dish that you can imagine how serious we are about our food.
What kind of tomato do they use for a sun-dried tomato?
It looks like aroma. I'm not really sure, but you know, I mean, Google
will
will
look
know
this
better.
up while
Thank
you
you.
continue to talk.
Thank you. And then,
You know, Daniel, I've had this theory for a while now that part of the reason we have the health issues that we do in our country is that most of the food that we eat was made by machines and never touched by any people. I really believe what you're saying, that there's real truth to that. When you got people that are involved in the process, they're putting a little bit of themselves into this food. We get the love and the attention that was placed into that food into our own bodies. The machines are not putting any of that into the food. And I think we're missing out on that.
we're missing, and this is my opinion, basically because I love food. The only thing I love more than food is people. But I love food, and I've always loved food. Whenever, you know, we're missing out on so many things. When I was growing up, you know, I grew up on a farm, so you know we got our milk from the tap. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We made our butter, you know, things like that. So whenever I got into society, all of a sudden, I'm like, man, there's milk in the grocery store, and I poured it, and I'm like, what is this whitish liquid? It's not really milk. And then the butter, it's less yellow. And then I've learned about, and it's not just the mechanical, pasteurization is very necessary. It's incredibly necessary. It keeps us healthy. Now, the homogenized, the ultra pasteurized, and all that, the ultra pasteurized, they take heat and they pass it through a fine mesh sieve. Butter fat will not pass through a fine mesh sieve well. So whenever you're doing that, the more process that you add into it past pasteurization, your whipped cream is not whipped as high. You can't get the high stiff peaks out of it. Your butter's not going to have the flavor. Your cheese isn't going to have the texture and the flavor that you want. Your milk's going to be more runny and less creamy. So I mean, it's not that. I mean, there are a lot of health things that we're missing out because of all the mechanical processes, but at the same token, there's tons of flavor that we're leaving at a processing plant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it's the thing that I love so much about Carrabba's is we try and use the freshest ingredients that we possibly can because, they have a similar line as me. They love food, but they love people more.
Yeah.
So,
And you can love people well by serving them really good food.
absolutely.
He does that daily.
Yes.
So, sun-dried tomatoes are plum tomatoes, which Romas are a style of plum tomatoes. So,
Cool.
Yeah, you were right.
So we're both right.
Yep.
So, and that dish, I know we kind of got off on, I'm sorry about the tangent, but
Nope. Love it.
that dish is served with a Bogle Merlot. Now, Bogle Merlot is the #1 Merlot in America. So, so we're doing something to your health. We're serving the #1 Merlot in America. I mean, we're doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. So then next we're going, you might want to close your ears, Ray. So next we're going with the wood-grilled sirloin and gorgonzola sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds so good.
I read that. You and I talked earlier today, and I read that, and I'm like,
It's amazing. I mean, the thing that, so like if you look at our name is Carrabba's Italian Grill. And I've told so many people so many times, Johnny's dad was a butcher. He loved to grill out. He come up with the grill seasoning, and he come up with our grill base. There's nobody that has a grill seasoning or grill base that's like ours. And I mean, you can take any steak you want and you can cook it on my wood-fired grill with my grill seasoning and my grill base, and it'll come out, in my opinion, better than anywhere else. And I mean, it's because of the detail to the love of food is why they do that. And that'll be served with our sauteed broccoli, and then to our Behringer Founders Estate Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's an estate cab. So that means all the grapes were grown on that estate. So
on site.
yeah. So I mean, a lot of people don't.
They weren't sourced from another spot.
Correct. And then we get into the chocolate Bodino.
Now that's where he should have held his ears.
Yeah, I did.
Ooh.
I wanted to see his face.
Oh, yeah.
So
Tell us more about that.
So it's basically it's an Italian pudding. So we take we make the pudding, and we stir it up, get it about 142 degrees, and get it to where it needs to be, and then we put it into an ice bath and start cooling it. Once it starts to thicken, we put it into the different bowls and let it set up, and then we'll top that with a house-made whipped cream and a little bit of chocolate shavings, and that goes with a Conundrum Red blend.
Ooh, that sounds so good.
Yeah, it's the Conundrum's actually a really popular, red wine right now. It's everywhere. A lot of people are drinking it.
And I love the word conundrum.
Yeah.
I use it as often as possible, and I just love that.
I have some issues with it.
I see what you did there.
Thanks. but that's the January wine dinner in a nutshell. And I mean, it's $45 a person. I'm having two of them on January the 14th and then one on the 21st. Just go to carrabba's.com/wine dinner, sign up, come on in, hang out with me. We'll have a good time. We'll enjoy the food and, you know, some great conversations. You never know what I'm going to say. That's one of my favorite things.
Ours too.
Let me ask you, for those of us that actually think ahead occasionally, what are y'all doing for Valentine's Day, and when do you book that day up?
He hadn't thought about it till just now.
Valentine's Day, you know, Valentine's Day in the restaurant industry is it's tough. It's the busiest day of the year. Everybody's going out. Everybody there is trying to make sure that, you know, you're celebrating, you know, being with your loved one, having a good time and enjoying. At the same time, their loved one sitting at home watching TV. So, you know, I mean, it's very, so it's good, and, you know, we enjoy it. So, I mean, you know, when you go out to eat on Valentine's Day, just make sure you have patience and you know, treat the people great, because, you know, they're
sacrificing their time with their loved ones.
They really are. And, you know, I mean, you can tell that they love people, but, you know, Valentine's Day, it's so busy, and we try to limit our errors by not doing anything really crazy. But, you know, I know my marketing team's working on something. We're planning a wine dinner the Tuesday before the Valentine's Day, and then we're going to do our other 2 wine dinners after Valentine's Day. So, I mean, the wine dinner will be really our focus of, you know, it'll really be a focus of couples for, what's the Tuesday before?
The 11th and the 18th are the 2.
The 11th and 18th?
Yeah.
Okay, I think the 11th is the Valentine's Day wine dinner, and then the 18th and 25th that's going to be a really special wine dinner, but the details haven't been released on it yet, so I can't really, I only know, like, I know certain things, I just don't know all the details, so I don't want to misspeak. So, but
Right.
yeah, we haven't got the final plan for what we're doing for Valentine's Day. I know that sounds crazy, but the restaurant industry is very competitive.
Oh,
So,
yes.
you know, we have to think quick on our feet and make great decisions, and you know, really, and I know it sounds crazy not to be planning 7-8 months. We're planning, you know, a year in advance, but we're not pulling the trigger until, you know, it's what's really going to, you know, benefit the people the most.
Right. What's most feasible?
Yeah.
Right.
That
That makes a lot of sense.
we start doing call aheads. We don't do reservations because, you know, it's, but we start doing call aheads, and we'll be doing everything that we can possibly do about all day long, and it'll be a blast. I love it every year. It's my favorite day.
Is it?
Well, I love that you've given some other really good options before and after Valentine's Day, because one of the things that we typically do is go out on a different night. Like, we're going to celebrate Valentine's Day. I mean, we'll do it the night after or a night before, and I'm fine with it not being on the actual day.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, so many people do that. It's actually a really good week. You know, Valentine's Day, I love it because people just go everywhere and do everything. So it's, yeah, that whole week, it's and I mean, yeah, you know who's coming and when, and yeah, so the people that own restaurants usually come in 2 to 3 days before or 2 or 3 days after.
Yeah. Because it's like people in the bar business the day before Thanksgiving. Wednesday before Thanksgiving is always ridiculous. Yeah. So that's why I always give Danielle that night off for the less desirables.
Makes sense.
So it's carrabba's.com/wine dinner.
Correct.
Awesome. Ray, you want to talk about the big eat?
Yes. This
I don't
is,
have the thing in front of me because my computer says, and I talked to Steve while you and Daniel were talking, and he says,
Yeah.
he's got somebody working on that. So
Okay,
it's
good.
it's not just me.
Well, the Big Eat is a promotional thing that Steve Shumai has put together with local restaurants. He's been doing this for several years now, You're basically going to get half off of featured entrees at participating restaurants. And some of the restaurants, they do the same special each week, and some change it up from week to week. So just like for a quick example, Sixth and Vine is one of the participants. Tonight, it's their shrimp and grits, topped with chorizo sausage, onions, peppers, cheddar, and shrimp, and a creamy Cajun sauce. It's $7.
That's tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow night, correct. It's this week's special.
The 7th.
Next week, it's their mocha spiced sirloin for $11. Each week, they've got something different. So, other restaurants that are participating include Bernardin's, Bibbs, Blue Restaurant and Bar, Butcher and Bull, Foothills. I gotta say, I love the Foothills special. We took advantage of this one last year. It's their fish and chips. A whole order of fish and chips is only $7.50. A half is $5.50. And let me tell you, that half order is a big order of food. So, yeah, they do the same special each week. Jeffrey Adams is in on this. Moji Coffee and More, Senor Bravo, the Filling Station, Thai Harmony, Trade Street Diner, Trenone Italian Restaurant, Ex Carret. I love theirs. It's $1. Tacos for $1 each week. And this is running from.
Is there a limit
this week? Not say there's a limit. They may have to put one. They'll turn loose down there for $1 taco.
All right.
I'll take 40, please.
This runs from this week through the 7th through February 18th. And then the Greensboro piece picks up, make sure I'm getting these dates right, February 4th through the 25th. Also wanted to mention that Cowboy Brazilian Steakhouse is also participating. They were the last one here on the list. There's a different group of restaurants, obviously, for Greensboro. Look for the Big Eat on Facebook. It's probably the best way to find it. You can see what each restaurant is doing. If you haven't tried these restaurants yet, this is a great opportunity to get in there, try signature dishes for them for half of the normal price. If it's one of your favorite restaurants, then here's your perfect excuse to go back. So this is going to be every Tuesday through February 18th in Winston, just at these restaurants that are in on this. I highly recommend it. It's a great way to introduce yourself to a place that you haven't tried before.
Agreed. And the BigEatNC.com is their website, but it's having issues right now. So keep trying.
Yeah.
Like I said, I talked to Steve, and he says he's working on it. So
Yeah, I was able to access it through Facebook and got the information. So that may be an easier way. Maybe that route's currently working.
yeah,
But yeah, I like a good deal.
yeah.
Kind of like a Carrabba's wine dinner. We know that's a good deal.
Right.
In fact, I can't believe you're offering it at that price. I say that all the time.
Which
just
means there's no excuse that people shouldn't go.
Correct.
$45
just what you would pay for the glasses of wine that you get for dinner. You'd be pushing $45.
Yeah.
He's looking at it. He's like, "You're right."
Forget the food.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
when you
don't
add
forget the food,
to
but
this,
if you take the food out of the equation,
yes,
Well, you couldn't
it's
get-
still a good deal.
You couldn't get either one of those for that price. You can't get the food or the wine
Or the
for
wine.
that price.
so there you go.
Pretty good
It's a
point.
huge value. I mean, really, and it's a great way to see the variety of what you offer at Carrabba's.
And some things that it's kind of like just secret family recipes that we haven't pulled out. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it is it's not necessarily because if you go to Carrabba's a lot, well, thank you for that. And if you do, you might need something that okay, well, I've had that already, and then they pop up with these, and you're like, hey, I've not had that before, and it's going to be good quality because they are doing it, and there you have it. That's a perfect opportunity for you to try something new or try an old favorite. They put both of those in some of the things. So, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Carrabba's.com/wine dinner.
Love it.
Having had the sheer pleasure of being there for a multi-course meal, I gotta say, you gotta go. If you haven't been, you just gotta go. It really is a lot of fun. And Daniel, I appreciate your personality. And you just bring so much more to the dinner. It's just that much better.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk some food holidays.
Let's talk about those.
All right. Well, today's the 6th, right? It's National Shortbread Day. For whatever
I like
reason.
shortbread.
Yeah. How are you on
Daniel's going,
sweetbread?
what could I do with shortbread?
How are you on sweetbreads?
I like sweetbread.
Do you? No, I'm not talking about bread. I'm talking about sweetbreads.
Okay. define.
Glands, like offal, OFFAL.
Oh, yeah. See, now we've had that conversation. I know you love that stuff, but no, thank you.
How about you, Daniel?
Never
You
tried.
grew up on a farm, though.
Right? Yeah, I mean, just because you grow up on a farm don't mean you don't go hungry some nights.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, look, you can eat a bunch of heart and liver.
No,
I'm good.
No, I'll
good.
pass. I'll go to
Good.
bed
Give me
without
peanut
my
butter.
Yeah, peanut butter. Give me more peanut butter.
They're great in a stew.
I bet so. Yeah, because I mean, what do you use in like broths and all that stuff? You stock. You put all the
The
undesirable
bones
stuff,
and-
and you put it in there, and you get all the flavor.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like
And
fish
then
stock.
you strain it out.
Correct.
Yeah, well, no, I don't want to eat it once it's been sitting in there like that. But if you get the right person to make it, like Mark Groman here in town, if he makes it, it's going to be great. Tim Grandinetti makes awful pretty good. He makes awful less
friend of
awful.
I had a friend of mine that made some liver turnovers, just little snack size ones. Oh my gosh, they were absolutely amazing. He curried it up. It was wonderful. So you're right, the right person. Okay, but most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's
Right? It's just eating a filter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Liver. I'm not a liver fan myself, although I like foie gras. I don't like chicken livers. You're either going to get too chewy or it's going to taste like dust. Because you bite into it, it just like breaks up.
You
They're
know,
overdone.
You only like foie gras because you like to say it.
I do like to say it. Foie gras. We'll talk about foie gras here in a little bit. In 1929, on the 6th, Sheffield Farms of New York began using wax paper cartons instead of glass bottles for milk delivery. On the 6th, today, in 1952, Charles M. Schulz comic strip Peanuts ran its first Sunday comic strip. It had been run daily since October 2nd, 2 years before, or a year and a half before, but this was the first Sunday strip. In
I gotta
1980...
say, that's one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah. In 1988, the famous Paris restaurant La Coupole was sold and eventually replaced by an office building because, progress and all that. It was famous for its Welsh rarebit and had been frequented by James Joyce, Henry Miller, and other notable Americans. In 2003, U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Richard Carmona called obesity the fastest growing cause of illness and death in America today. And
I wonder what it is today.
I don't know. Trump. But that's the fastest cause of my illness.
Bite my tongue. We'll be off on another rant for 2 hours.
Yeah, I can get the obesity thing because, I am obese. I didn't like the first time I ever heard that. I still don't like that I am that, but I told my doctor one time, I said, well, I'm not obese or anything. He says, aren't you? I said, well, I don't know. And he says, and then he was going to that BMI stuff, the body mass index. And by that, yes, I was at the time, although I was much smaller than I am now. I guess they would call this morbidly obese now. So, although I went to the doctor Christmas Eve and all my levels were within normal standard range, and
Nice.
I had lost 4 pounds and all was well. My blood pressure was perfect. Thank you, meds.
Right? Keep that
guess-
up. Whatever it is you're doing, keep that up.
Medication.
I have mixed emotions about that. Like, why would you go to the doctor on Christmas Eve, man? It's like, dang it. We're going to have to run this. We'll do this after Christmas. It's like, what? So it like consumes it, but you had a good report. So
Yeah,
it
everything
worked
was
out.
good. It was like it's usually they couldn't do it because usually it's November around my birthday, but they couldn't. It was all booked up, and he says, "Can you do Christmas Eve?" And I'm like, "All right, whatever." And it was at 8:30, so I was in there and out. I was home by 9:30, so all was well. The 7th is National Tempura Day. So if you like tempura, if you like your stuff deep fried, then there you go. Daniel does not eat fried food, so
There are some things that are good.
he says whatever.
Those waffle fries are going to be good.
Don't eat fried foods.
Yeah, he doesn't eat anything fried. In 1784, on the 7th, David Landreth started the first seed business in the United States in Philadelphia. Today, the D. Landreth Seed Company is the 5th oldest corporation in America.
Wow.
Pretty big, too.
Yeah. In 1789, on the 7th, the first U.S. presidential election was held. If history serves me right, that is George Washington.
Correct. Correct.
I think I remember hearing about that once somewhere.
If you're, the first time I ever heard it, if you're a fan of Monopoly, then you know what the B&O is. The B&O Railroad, that's the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, began service on the 7th in 1830.
Takes us back a little bit.
Yeah, a little. In 1901, on the 7th, Alfred Packer is released from prison. He served 18 years for cannibalism after being stranded in the Rocky Mountains. Actually, he was convicted of murder since cannibalism at that time was not really against the law. Eating them was not against the law. Killing them was against the law.
Huh. I mean,
What if they
You
had
can't
died
kill them, but
naturally?
it's okay to cook them.
What
Right.
if they had frozen to death or something? Could he have eaten them then?
so
You can't kill them, but you can cook them.
if he'd have been a little bit more patient, he would have been fine.
Yeah. And still alive.
Maybe.
Yeah. But what killed them? That's the first. This is mad people disease here. In 1908, Procter & Gamble registered the Ivory soap trademark. In 2015, Los Angeles District Judge Stephen Wilson ruled that California's ban on the sale of foie gras was illegal because it encroaches on the regulatory domain of the federal government. It is still illegal to produce foie gras in California, however, but you can sell it there now. On the 8th of January, it's National English Toffee Day. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
A good Heath bar or Score bar is really good. In 1800, on the 8th, the first soup kitchens in London were opened to serve the poor. In 1856, Dr. John Veitch discovered large deposits of borax in Tuscan Springs, California. Borax has many uses, including in household laundry and cleaning products, such as the 20 Mule Team Borax.
Yep.
In 1872, on the 8th, African-American inventor Thomas Elkins received his second patent, which was for a chamber commode, a combination bureau, mirror, book rack, washstand table, easy chair, and earth closet or chamber stool.
Wow.
All that in one.
Interesting.
And now you just go buy a nondescript white thing to put in your bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, you can go out and get, I did plumbing for 18 years. You can go out and get the other stuff on there too still.
Yeah, that's right. We
want all
still
that
want to
stuff,
talk and
you
have
can
a
have
have a bidet put in at the house. He says, in 1940, Britain's Ministry of Food instituted rationing of butter, sugar, and bacon. In 1964, President Johnson declares war on poverty, and we're still at war on poverty.
Yeah.
On the 8th in 1982, AT&T, American Telegraph and Telephone, settles an antitrust lawsuit by agreeing to divest itself of the 22 Bell System telephone companies. And I remember when that was kind of, what's the big deal? And now they're all back together, basically,
Yep.
which is funny.
Yeah.
In 1992,
That was a big deal when that happened. That was
Oh, yeah.
that was a huge deal when it happened.
In 1992, President George H.W. Bush becomes ill on a trip to Japan and vomits all over Japanese Prime Minister Miyazaki Kiichi. So,
I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Blech.
Thankfully, it didn't spark an international incident.
This is true. On January the 8th, that's Wednesday, my dad turns 72. How about I say 27?
Yay!
72.
Happy birthday to him.
Okay. The 9th is National Apricot Day. How you feel about apricots? You like them?
I like apricots.
You like apricots?
I like apricots.
Or apricots, whatever.
I like them both.
They're all good.
Tomato, apricots. Truthfully, I had never had one until about 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even. People, when I was doing wine tasting, so you might taste a little bit of apricot in there. I'm like,
What does that taste like?
okay, is that what that tastes like? Because I tasted one and it does not taste like wine. So I was a little disappointed in that.
No, closer to a peach.
You should have waited.
Yeah. Give it a little time to ferment and then try it.
Right.
Yep.
In 1493, on the 9th, Christopher Columbus, sailing near the Dominican Republic, spotted 3 mermaids. Actually, they were manatees, but he thought they were mermaids, which those are some ugly mermaids.
Right.
Well, either that or how much was Chris drinking on his trip?
Well, you know, how many days sailing is that from Portugal? So, I mean,
It's a long trip.
lot, yeah. And
Across
this was
literally uncharted territory.
This was in '93, so he was on the water for a year.
Yeah,
At
there
that
you go.
point, yeah. In 1838, the first flea circus in the United States opened at 187 Broadway in New York City. I recommend reading the Wikipedia entry for Flea Circus. It's a very interesting read. I read it this morning. I'm like, wow, because I always wondered really what that is, and it truly was. But then they became a little.
Right.
It was not necessarily fleas at that point, but they did use fleas for a while. Now you couldn't get away with that because they'd call for cruelty and abuse and all that stuff. The damn flea. In 1863, the world's first underground railway, London's Metropolitan Railway, officially opened. It was open to the public the following day, and I believe that's still called the Tube. In 1887, and I've ridden on the Tube. In 1887, the Great Die-Up. Record cold and snow decimates cattle herds in the western United States. More than 1 million cattle died of starvation in temperatures as low as 63 degrees below zero. It marked the end of open range ranching as ranchers began to fence off land to grow hay and grain to feed their cattle. And on the 9th, in 1956, it was the first Dear Abby column that was published. I don't know, it was Dear Abby or Ann Landers first. They're sisters. They were twin sisters.
Yeah.
But I don't know which one had their column first.
I don't know either.
Daniel's going to pull out his Google machine.
We will find out.
Yeah. On the 10th, it's National Oysters Rockefeller Day. I don't know. I like oysters, but I don't know that I like them Rockefeller. I don't know. I think I've had them one time. It's because you're weird. It's also,
Yeah.
for you though, it's Bittersweet Chocolate Day.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
With a little sugar.
To take away the bitter and add more sweet.
Take away the bitter. Let's accentuate the sweet.
Yeah. In 1839, Indian tea became available in Britain for the first time. Up to this time, only tea from China had been available, and it was very expensive. The development and import of Indian tea brought the price down so all could afford it, and it quickly became the national drink. You have information over here, Dan?
Yeah, a few months before Pauline Phillips started Dear Abby, her twin sister Eppie Letter took over Ann Landers' column, created
Okay.
the Chicago Sun.
All right, so Ann Landers was first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Dear Abby.
And then Dear Neither one of them used a real name, which is probably smart. In 1899, on the 10th, David Missel was issued a patent for the first battery-operated flashlight. I'm sure that battery was huge because they didn't have the little cells at the time. In 1984, on the 10th, where the beef? Actually, that campaign debuted on this day, on the 10th. And burgers, they showed that burgers weren't just for kids anymore. I never knew they were just for kids. I like them.
I didn't think they were just for kids. I just thought they were for people.
Kids are people too.
Yeah.
You remember that show?
Yeah.
Yes.
On the 11th, it's Milk Day. Something else we talked about.
Right.
It's also
Iced or not.
That's right. However
Doesn't matter.
you
It's
drink
milk
your-
day, however you want.
I prefer it from the tap.
Yeah, like get down and actually get it from the teat.
Probably not. That's a little far. But yeah.
No, but bring it into the house.
And pour it so it's like getting a little bit of the cream in it.
Yeah.
Like still warm.
Yeah.
Still warm, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that
Oh,
I
yeah.
can handle that. I don't
Yeah.
know that I could do it.
Oh, you could.
Yeah, but the flavor.
Man, it's
You're thinking about drinking milk from the grocery store warm.
right.
You're not talking about this.
Yeah, I
This
just
is
don't know
this
that I
is a
could do
different
it.
food entirely.
No, I just don't know that I could do it.
You would.
Okay.
You would do it and you would love it.
Right.
You're probably right.
You would love it.
It's not an asparagus run, I promise you.
Oh,
It's no, not asparagus.
no asparagus. Here. The 11th, in addition to being Milk Day, is also Hot Toddy Day. I'm a fan. In 1878, in Brooklyn on the 11th, milk was supposedly delivered to homes in glass bottles for the first time rather than being ladled from metal cans.
Interesting.
On the 11th in 1917, the French government regulated the price of Gruyere cheese as a war rationing method. That's World War I, I'm pretty sure. 1949, the first recorded snowfall in Los Angeles, California happened. So, recorded. I'm sure it happened way, way back, but first time
Right.
anybody knew about it was in 1949.
And that's when we determined that there really was a chance for a snowball in hell. They got
Nice.
snow in LA.
In 1963, on the 11th, the Whiskey A Go Go opens in Los Angeles. Just a few years after the first snowfall. It was the first disco in the United States. In 1964, U.S. Surgeon General Luther Terry issued the first government report saying that cigarettes cause lung cancer. And I think that should say can cause lung cancer. They don't always. In 1967, on the 11th, Canada's tallest hotel, the 38-story Chateau Champlain, opened in Montreal, Quebec. In 2010, Dutch brewer Heineken acquired all of FEMSA's Mexican beer operations, which include Dos Equis, Sol, and Tecate brand beers. So,
More consolidation.
yeah. Yeah, but did they get anything really?
Right.
It's not like they got Pacifico or Victoria. They got Dos Equis, Sol, and Tecate.
Yeah.
That's day drinking beer on the beach right there.
Right.
Yeah. But it's good for that.
Yeah, it is. Not Heineken though.
No.
Not unless you're drinking it in Amsterdam. I'm telling you, there's a difference. Drinking it in Amsterdam where it's made is a whole lot different than drinking the crap that we get here.
Well, it's just like Guinness. If you drink it from the draft house in Ireland,
Cork, yeah.
Because because the water's like coming off the mountain, they filter with isinglass, and I mean, it's just like perfect.
Yeah,
Anyway,
nice.
never been there, but my wife brought me a can back from there.
It's nice. I'm a fan of the brewery that Guinness has in Baltimore. They actually have one that they opened within the last few years. And they made something because my friend Caitlin, who used to be a co-host on the Less Desirables, moved up there because she works for the government. And she brought me some down, and it was like 11.5% alcohol. It was a bourbon barrel aged something, but it was Guinness's something. And it was really, really good.
I would like that.
Yeah. On the 12th, of January, it's National Marzipan Day. Mm-hmm. You like marzipan?
Yeah, me too.
It's also National Curried Chicken Day.
I'm good with that.
I like curried chicken. If it's not over curried.
All right. Curry.
You're not a curry fan?
All right.
Any curry or just
It's a
like
little spicy.
Okay. You're not a spicy guy.
Right.
Okay. And National Hot Tea Day, which I like that.
Yep.
In 1942, on the 12th, the National War Labor Board is created to forestall labor management conflicts during World War II. And the next year, due to wartime meat shortages, the United States Office of Price Administration announced that Frankfurters would be replaced by Victory sausages made of meat and soybean meal or other substitute. Victory
victory.
sausage.
There's no victory in that.
Yeah,
None.
There's no victory in that.
Yeah.
It needs to be meat.
Yeah, it has to be meat. Because fake food is not food. Just remember that.
No, it's
Right.
fake.
Yeah.
It's empty
Right.
calories.
Well, that's all. That's right. That's all the food history and history for this week. Thanks to James Ehler at foodreference.com for making us chuckle, roll our eyes, learn about me not knowing what real milk tastes like, and other food things. So, the Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Apartment 5B, Bees, Wax, Vinyl, and more. And coming soon, Sipping NC, The Art of Drinking, The Return of. You can find all these podcasts and their latest episodes on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. You'll also find social media links for each right there as well. We would greatly appreciate if you visited our sponsors like Washington Perk and Provision Company. Is located at 301 West 4th Street. You'll find a little bit of everything there. Local fruits and veggies, meat and dairy from local sources. Bingo Bango sodas, made right here in Winston-Salem. Wolfie's Custard and more. Washington Perk is better than a convenience store, not quite a grocery store. On Facebook, they're Washington Perk, or at Washington Perk _DTWS on Instagram. The Humblebee shop is located at 1003 Brookstown Avenue in the west end of downtown. You need to go to Instagram right now and look up the Humblebee shop. Brittany is whipping up the batter on some delicious desserts, cakes, and muffins, be it regular, vegan, or gluten-free. Glutton-free. And she's got plenty of gluttons, but the Humblebee shop wants to challenge your perception of scratch made and leave you with an experience you couldn't possibly forget. For more information, follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit thehumblebeeshopapa.co.
That's SHOPPE.co.
And
As
of
a side
course-
note, Brittany will not be open until Thursday the 9th. She's taking a little time off, but you'll see her on Thursday.
Right on, and she should be starting her dessert curation project too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to learning more about that.
yeah. She's going to do menu, because desserts have become more of a afterthought, and she wants to make it where desserts more of a, a
Feature.
focus.
I guess.
To complete the meal, not just
Right.
Did you save room for dessert? And here's what we have.
Yeah. Right.
So
right.
she's starting some. She said starting some business. We're going to have her come on and talk about it in the next little bit, I think.
I'm a little excited.
Yeah.
We're-
So tell us about once again about Carrabba's Italian Grill, located at 587 South Stratford Road.
It's a good little family restaurant, locally run by me. We have all ABC permits. We fresh food daily. Everything's made by people that live in this town. I mean, it's just a great place to go.
And as I like to say, and having a fantastic franchisee like you certainly doesn't suck. For more information, follow Carrabba's on social media and Carrabba's.com. And the social media, the Facebook page is actually for this location, right?
The Facebook page is for the national.
Okay. Is there one just for you?
No, we don't do that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, that's okay, because you're in the public eye enough that you get to differentiate a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, we try to do everything as one big family.
Because it is a big family.
Right. And if you start doing like individual ones, then you'll go to this one thinking you're at that one, and
Yeah.
it's confusing.
Yeah. And you're keeping with the family mentality.
Correct.
Yeah. What Johnny and Damien started.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I pay attention.
It was really cool to, I went to Austin, Texas, and actually ate at Johnny's restaurant, and then I went and met his mom, Rose, and I mean, it was amazing. Houston.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's cool.
Well, Daniel, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you can come anytime. Just say, hey, I'm going to be there. And
Yeah.
we'll just let you know if we're on time or running behind or whatever.
It's good to see Ray
Love
still.
having you on.
It's good to see Ray still has life on the horns.
Yeah. That's why we call him Bull. Shit. But
That's why you called me that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, keep an eye on the blog and this podcast to find out more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, send us an email at tim@themanwhoatethetown.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Man Who Number 8 the Town. On Instagram, we are Man Who Ate the Town. My name is Tim,
My name's Ray.
And I'm Daniel.
and we are closing the recipe box. Until next time, did you get your finger out of the way that time?
I'm good this time.
All right. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the Man Who Ate the Town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.